Sometimes if I'm faced with a decision and I'm worried about what other people think, I wonder what I would do if I was the only person on earth.
Hey, I'm Joe Fear, and welcome to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. This is where we talk all about building businesses so they give you the freedom and fuel for your life. I'm not here to help you build $1 billion business, but I am here to help you create a business with systems that work for you so you can make more money than you need just by working part-time. You know, I was a chronic hustle mode kind of guy, and I want to share my experiences and mentors I've met along the way to help you reframe things to be the most effective as an entrepreneur. I wish I had this guidance and insight when I was younger, so that's what I'm doing here for you. Please share and enjoy. What's going on? It is Joe Fear, and this is the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. And today I have the infinitely interesting Rob Moore, who is a wildly successful entrepreneur out of the UK. You might have heard of him or seen some of his stuff. He's got millions of followers. He's got almost 1,000 episodes on his podcast. He has multiple shows. One's called The Disruptors, and I think it's 15, 17 books he's published. Who's counting anyway? The guy is a machine, and I love the way he thinks and how he operates, and that's what we dive into here in this conversation together. And some of the key things that stand out for me are the ways that he thinks about getting comfortable with yourself and really getting past a lot of these things that we think about ourselves that stop us from going big and having this global impact, which he clearly does. And the embracing change. Like, there's a lot of change in society. AI is one of them. So embracing that change and knowing how to adapt quickly so you're not going to get sucked up in the changes, because a lot are happening. We actually go deep into AI and how that impacts so many ways, you know, including business, personal life, economy, and beyond. So pursuing passions and really getting past others thinking about what you might have in mind of your goals and how you want to go for it. So I just love the way he thinks. Again, I said that, but it's true. So enjoy this episode and definitely go dive into what Rob has going on. He has a bunch of stuff that you can dive into, and his hub for all of that is his website. Go to Rob, R-O-B, Moore, MOORE.com. You'll find everything there. The guy's incredible. So let's get into the conversation right now with Rob. Rob, it's great to have you here, and I'm so fascinated. I don't even know where this is going to go, and that's the point. It's going to be raw and real, just like you are. So I appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Joe.
You got it, man. We were chatting a little bit about it. I was getting pumped up on Rammstein, and I saw you reminded me. I just got to give that to all the metalheads back in the day. That's how I grew up. So yeah, you have this fun personality, man. And when I started diving into your stuff and your work and everything you put out, just has that kind of fire behind it, that passion, and it just permeates, and it's unique, man. So
they've just found out, I think, Joe, that our universe that we're in has existed for 26.7 billion years. So think about our universe and how many infinite numbers of universes there are there. And if space and time are infinite, why do we take stuff so seriously? Why do we hate? Why do we fight? You know, like, we've got a tiny speck of infinitesimally small amount of time on this planet. So really believe life's too short to take things too seriously and to hate and to be jealous and all of that shit. Not for me.
Yeah, man. And especially, I read it's like, we're the only ones within our heads. So get the fuck out of your way and go. Yeah.
Yeah. All the things you worry about normally don't happen. Everything you think people think about you, they're not. People are too busy dealing with their own life problems to be focused on yours. Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was quite insecure. I probably really didn't start getting secure in who I am until my 30s.
Wow.
Which I don't know if that's embarrassing or I don't know if that's normal.
I think it's pretty normal, man. I have a similar journey, but love to speak into that, man, because I feel like that holds so many people back, especially in business when there's so much uncertainty, and it's up to us.
So, look, you know, I don't think you should totally not care what anyone thinks, because, you know, maybe you'd get up to more evil or nasty activity, or maybe you'd be too selfish. But all the things we want to do in our lives, you know, maybe you want to sing, maybe you want to try a hobby, you want to move to another country, you want to start a business, you want to write a book, and you find all these reasons why you can't. And I think if we're really honest and you dial back why, if you go deep enough, it's normally I'm worried about what people will think about me, what my parents will think about me, what my friends will think about me, what my followers on social media will think about me. And I interviewed a former SAS guy called Ollie Ollerton. He's become a good friend. And he says, sometimes if I'm faced with a decision and I'm worried about what other people think, I wonder what I would do if I was the only person on earth. Like if there was no one to judge me, ridicule me, you know, there were no voices of parents and haters in my head. And I just had the pure selfishness of what do I want to do with my life? And I think as long as we don't live with reckless abandon, you know, too selfishly, I think if we have that attitude more, we're going to take more risks. We're going to get more out of life. We're going to do the things we've been putting off. We're going to probably be a more attractive, radiant person. Because you know, when you meet people and you can just tell they're very comfortable with who they are, that person is a very attractive person. And they don't have to be physically attractive, but there's something about that person that you admire. And I think we all admire people who know who they are and they're not trying to pretend to be anyone they're not. And, you know, the thing is when you're at school, it's like, I want to go to the prom and I want to look good and I want to impress my friends and I got to get girls. And then you go to university and I got to get good grades. And then, you know, I've got to show my boss I'm good. And then you get on social media and, you know, I've got to look good on Instagram. And for me, it started to change when I had my first child because I couldn't be as self-obsessed anymore.
Damn right.
I don't feel like I'm a really selfish person. Don't get me wrong. But like I look at a lot of because I've got 105 staff in the office. I've got loads of outsourcers. And I look at some of the lads who are 18 and 21 and they're so obsessed with how they look. You know, their face, their trainers, their six pack and all that. And I remember how draining all that bullshit used to be.
Yeah, it's
I've never had Botox. I've not done anything to my teeth. You know, that you can see they're not veneered and they're not like piano key white because I'm cool. I'm me. I'm okay with me. All right, I've got a slight dad bod, maybe. I could, you know, but I'm all right. I'm me. And yeah, I think the quicker you can get there, I think the less friction you're going to have in your life.
Amen, man. Yeah, for me, it was my kid as well. Yeah, it's that aha moment that it's not about me anymore. It's about what I can provide and create. Man, what great perspective if there was not a single soul on this planet.
Yeah.
It's what would you do? And I think that's a great mental exercise that we can all take and apply it however that shapes up, man.
I think the thing is, Joe, for probably maybe since the Second World War, we've had a relatively civilized society. Imagine if it was World War One. No one would be caring about what other people thought about how they looked or their hairstyle or their trainers or how they looked on social media. Everyone would just be like food, shelter, safety. So to a certain degree, we become a product of our environment. And, you know, you can't help the era in which you're born. And obviously it would be more favorable to not be born in two world wars. But I always think people who are critical, trolls, haters, people who hate themselves, people who get like consumed by news, discussion, debate, and gossip. These people don't have a meaningful enough focus in their life because, you know, when you're running a business, you'll know this, Joe, you've got too much shit to do to worry about all the minutiae and bullshit and haters and what other people think. You're busy trying to build an empire. So one of the best things you can do for your self-worth, and if you find yourself, look, one of my mentors, he said to me, you need to create meaningful problems in your life because if you don't, you'll be solving other people's meaningful problems. So people will be dumping their problems on you, or you'll be solving meaningful problems. And when I started a business and when I had my son and when I launched my charity and when I launched my book and when I launched my podcast, these were big undertakings. Oh, yeah. I did a charity boxing match in front of 1,700 people. We filled the room with a guy 20 kilos heavier than me recently. You know, you take on these meaningful challenges. You're too fucking busy to worry about your side parting or what someone said about you on fucking Instagram. Who cares?
That's right. Man, I love it because it focuses you. It's like a forced focus. It's a quest that you choose for yourself and you're really doing it for others as well, but it has to start here first and get ourselves straight. Damn, love that. Yeah, the challenges. Do you do that consistently to keep yourself focused in?
Yeah. like I'm not very good bored.
Yeah.
And in business, some people have this illusion, delusion, or fantasy of, hey, I just want to retire, when I'm 40 or 50, I want passive
Chill on the
income.
beach.
Yeah, exactly. And, I've retired about 5 times, built a property portfolio. One of my books did really well. I've got a lot of assets and I hated it every time. I hated it because I was bored. I felt rudderless. Look, men and women are different. People in different cultures are different. I can't judge everyone. I can only, I don't really give advice. I just share my experience. But for me, as a still high energy, mid 40-year-old man with a decent amount of experience in business, there's something burning inside me that needs to keep building my empire, that needs to keep, helping other people. I'm writing my 17th book.
Yeah.
And I already got my ideas for my 18th, 19th, and 20th. I have this itch and I need to do something with it and I need to build things. And, I can't say everyone's the same because I, for example, need a really supportive wife. That's not right. Her purpose or role. She needs to be really good at supporting me and raising the children and looking after the house and clearing up all the chaos that I create. But, if you're struggling a bit for motivation or you want to step up to the next level or you just want to start, I think setting yourself some meaningful challenges and making yourself publicly accountable to them, I think these are the key to success. Now, the journey of success, whatever one defines it as, is this paradox between you need to set these big chunky goals. Like I've got goals for when I'm 50.
Yeah.
I've had goals for when I was 40, when I'm 30. But also you have to have a good, solid set of routines and standards that you do every day. So my next new fitness challenge is called High Rocks, which is a bit of a CrossFit. It's a bit insane. And it's in August, September, October. It's in 4 months. So I've got that 4-month deadline, but I have to eat well today. I have to train 10 times a week. And I have to create these routines and standards, because the difference between a goal and a standard, a goal is something you would like to achieve. A standard is a non-negotiable that you hold yourself to. And anyone can set goals. Yeah. But do you have high standards of eating, standards of living, standards of training, etc.? So, you balance these meaningful missions and objectives if your goal is to grow. With these, non-negotiable standards. And I think, like Andrew Tate said to me, he said he's never seen anyone who put the work in fail. And actually, when you think about it, have you ever seen anyone down the gym, good diet, good routine, ever never get strong? No. Have you seen anyone ever never get fit if they're on the treadmill all day, every day? No. Have you ever seen anyone fail in business if they just keep going and providing value? The universe has so much abundance and gifts and will reward you equally to the effort and the value that you create.
It's going to bring back, and that's just in the sheer amount of volume you're putting out there. And I think the biggest key, once we get away from our own, whatever we're dealing with personally, is to express ourselves, express that creation wholeheartedly with no filter. I mean, that's the key, I think, right there, because you're going to resonate with all sorts of parties, and your books are a perfect representation of that. Your podcast, over 1,000 episodes, disruptive. I mean, man, it's just the sheer putting the volume out there, things are going to return with that. And don't mess with the flow, right? That's your flow of creativity, energy to the world.
Yeah, I think you can only do what you can do.
Right.
And I think you just need to have faith that there's an amazing intelligence called the universe and nature, which I believe the world is like a mirror. Imagine you grew up and you were abused and you were taught that the world is full of evil and that was imprinted into you. You're going to see evil in everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if you were raised and taught to trust everyone, people are inherently good. That's how you're going to see the world. So I believe the universe acts like a mirror and gives you what you put out. And I have this saying, be it until you see it. I don't like fake it until you make it because I don't think that's authentic. But there was some scientific research done by Joe Dispenza. And he said, as well as setting goals, you had to feel the emotion as if you already had achieved the thing you are looking to achieve. So that tells me you create the image that you want to be reflected back and you can manifest, create, or however you achieve and attain that. So, I really believe the universe is a gift that keeps on giving, but you have to put the right messages out there. You have to be very clear on what you want. Like, when you meet someone and they're confused and muddled and all over the place and they're juggling 5 different businesses and like that's not an attractive person. But when you meet someone who's crystal clear, I like this, I don't like this, I'm on this mission, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. That person has a radiant, attractive quality. And so the universe will give more of what that person is putting out. So, yeah, like it's funny because I've struggled my whole life with never really feeling like I'm good at anything. But in reality, I'm a person that I've not really been great at anything in my life. But what I am good at is being good at a lot of things. And I used to think that was a curse because, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'll play this sport and that sport and I want to do this subject and that subject. And I wrote a book in the UK called Money, which did really well. And then I wrote about mindset. But then I thought, well, that's just me. Maybe that's my talent, and maybe I should lean into embrace that more.
Man, I can relate with a lot of that because it can definitely screw with your mind a little bit, at least for us. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are like that, especially the more connected we get. Those with us with podcasts that we meet brilliant minds and we get excited. And with a growth mindset, you want to do something about what you just learned, and especially if it attaches. And I know that's the case for me. And I love the fact that I thought about this exact topic, looking at your books and the ones out there, they're related. Like they all have a unique, I'm sure they're all piping down a similar theme, but at the same time, they're also not in a way. They could be very individualized and amazing. And it's interesting because it could look like a mess to our minds internally unless we organize those things. So I'm curious how you do that. And I bring that up because I like on your website where you list out your epic weaknesses. And, this is one of them is you take on too much and then you have your team kind of clear up the mess. So I'm curious, I think that's a superpower as well. Obviously, there's two sides of the coin. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I agree with you on anything can be a gift or a curse. I come from the belief that no event, situation, or person is all good or all bad. I think every event that happens that we experience is actually neutral. It's humans who go, that was good. Oh, that was bad. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's wrong. Based on our own individual perceptions and judgments. Yeah. So, the prolific nature in which I can churn out information in multi-disciplines has the upside of variety, expansion, full expression in multicolor of life. Because when you run a business, you do have to be able to manage people. You have to be able to manage your emotions. You have to have a good mindset. You have to probably have good energy. So you could write, if you're in business, you could write 10 books on 10 different niches to be a good entrepreneur. Yeah. But of course, that is a curse because my best-selling book, pound for pound prorated, is money. And I'm now writing my second book on money as well as my third, fourth, and fifth. What if the 5 in between were all about money as well? Maybe I'd have the biggest brand and reputation around money in the world. Who knows? Yeah. But no regrets. What's meant to be is meant to be. If I was meant to be a guy who wrote 20 books on money, I'd have written 20 books on money. And, I just had this fight and we raised nearly $250,000 for charity. And I trained so hard and it was so close. He was 20 kilos heavier than me. And I, it was a split decision and it didn't go my way. And I thought about it and I thought, is that a loss or is that a win? And, the guy I fought, quite a lot of people don't like him. He's a bit of a villain. There was some underhandedness going on from his team. And my wife said, would you rather lose with dignity and grace or win at all costs? And I went, yeah, I would rather lose with grace and dignity and honor and integrity than win at all costs. So sometimes, the goals you have for yourself, you are nowhere near as intelligent as nature and the universe. And, a lot of people believe in God, that God has plans for them and all these kind of things. I'm not sure. I think there's just too many unknowns for me to be arrogant enough to say I know what's out there. But there's definitely a higher order that is way more intelligent than me. And, I go where I need to go and I do what I think is best. And if it doesn't go my way, I accept that it wasn't supposed to be that way. Because I think what we do is the more fixated on the fantasy of how we want life to be, often the more depressed we are when we don't achieve this unattainable delusion.
Expectations.
Exactly. And, for example, I know people who are single and unhappy because they believe they should be with a perfect 10 in every way. And they have unrealistic expectations about life. And I sometimes don't trust my judgment as well. So, my wife is amazing. I've been with her nearly 20 years. Cool. She is not the kind of woman I would have picked in my 20s. But somehow, something more intelligent than me knew and gave me a sign that the kind of women that I was choosing were not right. And the kind of woman that is right for me is this kind of woman. Yeah. And, I've got so many instances in my life where, I've been hell bent on going down this path and, it hasn't gone how I wanted it to go, but who I became in the process and what I learned on the journey and where it ended up taking me, that's one of the great gifts of life.
Man, it seems like you have tapped in big time into your intuition, and I know that's one of your epic weaknesses is the childlike impatience, and I feel like you just take that immediate action and you do it quickly. You almost do it potentially, and I'm kind of projecting maybe is before you have all the answers, you put it out there, you get that ball moving. Is that right?
I wrote a book called Start Now, Get Perfect Later. And again, I don't give advice, I give experience. For some people, are scared to leave the house in the morning. They need to be a bit more impetuous. They need to act a bit more quickly. But some people who are wildly impatient and reckless and chaotic, they need to do the opposite and they need to slow down a bit. Or, and this is what I did, get a business partner or a wife or a mentor or wise counsel. So it's funny how I've attracted these very grounding humans around me. My MD, my business partner, my wife, and my son are all very grounded. And anytime I get in the remotest bit cocky, confident, happy, whoop, whoop, check daddy out, they can just humbleize me in a split second.
Good.
And, for years, I found those kind of people really frustrating. I felt like it was, I was a hot air balloon just dying to get up into the sky. But these were like weights. Yeah. But actually, I realized if I wanted a successful business and a successful marriage, and I wanted to experience all the fruits of, that life has to offer, and I either needed to learn to be all these things. And I don't think you can be everything, because the more you work on your weaknesses, the more you suppress your strengths. So there's an argument that you should just work on your strengths and outsource your weaknesses. And, when you run a company, ultimately you want to build a team of A players. And if they're A player in tech, they're going to be a C player in human relations or management. And that's okay, because you're not hiring them to be a manager. And a great team has this ecosystem. The sum of the parts equals greater than the whole. And we accept each other's weaknesses because we trust in each other's strengths.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's assembling that team. That's probably why you have such a large team is, I guess, more of the ideas, the more stuff you put out there, you're obviously receiving more. You better have those systems and people in place, the right people in place to take that off of you, at least that mental load. I can imagine that can stack up very quickly. It has for me. And yeah, the right people, grounding, the right systems to actually follow through with your vision, or else it's a kink in the hose in the whole master vision you're putting out there.
Yeah, there's probably, out of the 105 people I can think of off the top of my head, there's no more than 3 that are like me. Creative, nebulous, impatient, energetic, always up in the clouds, dragging everyone along. There's probably not room for that many. When I am away from the business, it's like 10 people have gone on holiday. And when I come back, it's like we've got an extra 10. I don't say that to be arrogant. I started the company. I've been in it 17 years. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm bad at. I'm really good with bringing energy. I'm really good at getting the best out of people. I'm really good at solving problems, big ones, fast. I make a lot of mess, but I hire a lot of people who are really good at tidying things up. And they're technically very good in accounts or very good at running events or whatever. So, depending on what you want out of life, a good marriage is probably got to have someone who's quite different to you, and a good company needs a good balance of the different types of, like in soccer, in football, in England, you've got the defensive midfielders, the attacking midfielders, you've got the goalkeeper, the defender, the attacker, you've got the defensive wing backs, you've got the attacking wing backs. You need that variety. If you don't have, because the problem is when you start a business and you're an entrepreneur, you end up just hiring mini-me's. Company with 10 entrepreneurs in it, in 2 years is going to be 10 different companies because they're all going to leave and set up on their own. You learn this over time, but you can learn this from mentors, going on courses, on masterminds, on reading books.
Man, that's I think that lands very true to me. And I've had all of that in the times where I pair up with another entrepreneur, and I had that in my previous partner. A lot of listeners know also was the co-host of this show. You're right. When there's ended up being 2 separate businesses and multiple, but yeah, you're right. And I feel like that can really, it muddies the water when it becomes like the North Star, whatever the purpose is. That can get confusing. That can change. Maybe that shared vision isn't so shared anymore. And then what just happened to everything else below that? That happened to me. And that one on a bigger scale, because this is kind of like a transition point. So this is all very true and accurate. And that's why I love that you're sharing this, because there's so many other people that feel like, let me just pair up with my best friend entrepreneur buddy over here. Well, maybe not.
No, don't. Probably don't. I mean, I do know some people who've had successful family businesses. It is possible. But I've had a business partner for 17 years. Again, I don't give advice to give experience. We're all on our own journey. You have to put things into context, but there are some common denominators. So number one, shared vision is absolute must. If I want to build an empire globally and he wants to build a little lifestyle business on his laptop, that ain't going to work.
Bingo.
But different set of skills. And what we end up doing when we go into relationships, we end up marrying a female or a male version of ourselves. And then we go into business, we end up going to business partner with another version of ourselves. Like, I know for a fact I would be the worst person for me to go into business with. And my business partner, Mark, would be the worst person for him to go into business with. I have caused him a lot of stress and anxiety. I think he's just accepted who I am now. And he knows how to just, when to catch the balloon and when to let the balloon go, when to put helium in it. And, he knows this now because we know each other so well, but he would not work with the same version of him. And I would not work with the same version of me. I've had other partnerships with people like me, and it's exciting. And it's like, I don't know if you remember chemistry when you were a kid, and you had these magnesium strips and you lit them on the Bunsen burner and they just went,
yeah.
And that's, my relationships and my business partnerships, when I basically go into partnership with myself, they're like that.
Oh yeah.
They're exciting, they're bright, they're a flash, and then there's just remnants of ash and remains. Yeah.
It's a great visual.
Yeah.
True, man. So how do you pick because I noticed on some books you have collaborated with a partner on those. And how do you pick the ones and actually co-create in a way that expands that vision? Because I guess there's kind of twofold question here, because you have that expansive mind, that vision to go big, and you get it done quickly. How do you co-create correctly? And I guess walk me through how you even visualize that whole model.
Okay. The first thing is, it depends on your vision. You may not need a partner if you don't have a grand vision. If you have a grand vision or you want expansion and growth, you're going to need other people. You can't do it on your own. The problem you have with people is they are not machines. They are not programmable, controllable. They are not AI, and they will not function on an algorithm that you write. So they have their own pains, pleasures, relationship problems, mental health issues, illnesses, their own distractions, because people are people. So you have to accept the fact that you may kiss a few frogs. Most people don't marry their first love. If you do, you're very lucky, or you've lived a very sheltered life. But most people don't date once and then go, oh, that didn't work, I'm never dating again. But people hire someone or try and go into partnership, it doesn't work, and they're like, I'm never doing that again. I'll go back and work in an office. They just didn't quite master it. So you have to be prepared to kiss a few frogs. And I think you have to be clear what each other brings. So I bring energy. I bring the ability to sell a lot of books because I've got a lot of followers, blah, blah, blah. So I would look to partner with people who maybe haven't got a big following. And maybe they want to do this, but they're not quite at my level yet. But they're studious and they're a master in their field. So I look for partners who want what I've got and I want what they've got. So if I write a book with a partner, it'll be because they've got added skills and knowledge and I've got the reach, and I'm the accountability and I'm the speed.
Got it. Yeah. And with the vision aspect, sounds like you're always coming with that vision, and you have whatever hot air balloon thing, that thing you're peering at in the future. That just sounds natural to you at this point, and maybe that always has been. Is there a way to know when you're thinking big enough and large enough to motivate you enough? It feels like it's a big motivation thing, and you have that impatience, you want to get there quickly, so you got to have that person with you along the side usually. How do you know you're there? Yeah.
So it took me a long time to know what I wanted to do with my life. Probably 27 when I started on the right path, and probably mid-30s before I had a lot of clarity. So there is time, anyone listening even if you're older than me. So my personal vision is to help as many people on this planet get better financial knowledge. I don't think that the knowledge that's being taught in schools, that is proliferated down by your parents, indoctrinated by society. I think there's a lot of outdated information. I think there's a lot of propaganda from the system of the things that you're led to believe are financially astute, but actually aren't. And therefore, it is my mission to change that, because I've spent a lot of years learning that. I've become very wealthy, figuring that out. Then my company, Progressive, its vision is to help people invest for freedom, choice, and profit. Now, if you ask yourself every day, who am I and what am I supposed to do with my life? And you refine that and refine it and refine it, in the end, you'll land there, whether it takes a week, a month, a year, or 10 years. So keep asking yourself, who am I and what do I want to do with my life? And, Just get it where it's at. Don't think, oh, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Or what if it changes? It may evolve. In 20 years, I might evolve to a higher level of, broader level of specialism, or a tighter level. Like I'm now, my next 4 books will all be about money. Mm-hmm. So you could argue that I'm specializing down a bit from, what I've been doing over the years. Now, in terms of expanding the vision, when you're broke, you've probably got a very selfish personal vision to get out of debt. If you want to maybe quit your job and have enough money, you're probably focused at the family level. Once you've secured your family, maybe you want to give back to your community, your county. Once you're maybe the head of the council, or you're one of the biggest donors in your county, you can probably go and look at helping your country, then your continent, and then the globe. And if you look at Elon Musk, he's able to help people on a global level because he's grown. Now, you have to have the desire to do this. And it's not for everyone. Because there's a lot of pressure and responsibility that comes, and there's a lot of opportunity cost that comes with running a big business. Criticism, it sometimes costs people relationships, their health. It doesn't have to, by the way. It just can. You have to be really clear. My house is like a maximum security prison. I have to hire people full time just to manage my car collection of how much it costs to run them. Yes, it was really random and serendipitous, but I was driving one of my cars. I have a bit of a car collection. I was driving one of them, like I'm a bit soft, but I accidentally killed a pigeon. I was like, fuck, and I felt really bad. And I went to check the car, and there was a tracker hanging off my car, and my cars have been tracked by someone who's clearly looking to either steal my cars or break into my house. And these are new problems, new level, new devil, as someone said. Yeah. But, I'm prepared to pay the price for, the quality of life that I believe that I bring to my family, my community, even the country. And my next mission is the globe. Yeah. I'm probably well known on a national level. I'd like to be known on an international level. But you have to have the appetite for that. And you have to have the energy for that. Now, Warren Buffett is in his mid-80s and he's still got his energy for that. Some people are in their 20s and they've got no desire for that. And that's okay. There are 3 types of entrepreneur. There's the lifestyle entrepreneur who wants a laptop and an easy life. There's the intrapreneur, like Tim Cook of Apple. Yep. He wants a good role with some autonomy, wants some seniority, but doesn't want to start the firm on his own. And then there's the empire builder, the hustling entrepreneur who wants to start on their own and build their own empire. Yeah. I'm an empire builder, but not everyone is. And that's okay. I work with a lot of lifestyle entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, and that works. So yeah, there's some ways to think about your own mission and vision. If you think about your own vision, what are you good at? What do people constantly give you good feedback at? Where are your unique talents? What's yearning inside of you? Where do you always gravitate to? Where do you spend your time, and what space do you surround yourself with in terms of, what you're interested in naturally? A lot of people are like, oh yeah, but you couldn't monetize mine. You couldn't start a business. That's not true. There's so many things you can monetize now. Look at these entertainers on YouTube. Oh, man. You could build a membership site teaching people how to play chess if that's your vibe.
And with AI, I'm curious of your thoughts now, because I know we prefaced this a little bit before. I know. Yeah, look at those eyes. Obviously, there's 2 sides of the coin, I'm sure, and maybe others we're not even thinking of. So in terms of automation and actually furthering the vision, it could help all facets of those entrepreneurs. Obviously, knowing yourself is the key, and harnessing your superpowers, I think, more than ever with AI in the future. Man, I don't know where to start with this topic, but what are your initial thoughts when those eyes were getting big? I was feeling you had some thoughts already, so just lay them on me, man.
Yeah, if you go back through history and you look at revolutions, you see, if you look with wisdom and balance, that these new technologies and these advancements, they have equal upside and downside. I actually just learned this from a documentary, but the Gatling gun, that really crazy gun that can kill a lot of people quickly. Yeah, that one. That was not built as a weapon of mass destruction. That was built to save lives, because you didn't need as many foot soldiers on the front line, because this gun could take the place of 10 humans. So I think it was Robert Gatling who made the Gatling gun. Right. He had really good intentions with that. But you put that gun in the wrong hands, and that immediately becomes nefarious.
That's right.
When steel proliferated and rail was built, it was great for speed of travel, but it was much easier to rob villages. And then people started robbing the trains. So if you look at any revolutions, what happened? I mean, honestly, human beings as a race, we're quite arrogant, and we underestimate the intelligence of nature, and we overestimate ourselves. And we're always fucking around intervening with nature. It's our mission as human race to better, faster progress. The problem is I watched this really eye-opening documentary on AI just yesterday. I think it's called AI Robots. And it was about basically the race to AI in military. And, there's this one chap who was in the SEALs. He's like, there's been peace for 70 years because of, America's military. Well, I think many Eastern countries would disagree with that. But anyway, and he's like, we've got to get this out quick. So, so basically America can be the superpower. But the big dichotomy, the big sort of, I don't know what they call it. I don't know if they call it the paradox of war, but anyway, at the moment, the big discussion point in war is whether we give autonomy of the kill decision to AI.
Right.
The AI is crazy. Give AI 11 months. It beats the best dogfighter pilot that's ever lived. There's this company that's using AI to try and create vaccines and antidotes for toxins. And you just run a 6-year-old Mac overnight, and this AI algorithm comes up with 5,000 new compounds to reduce toxins and poisons and disease. And you're like, fucking hell, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But this was savage, I thought. I'm interviewing an ex-CIA spy tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about this. This person who had this biological AI was asked by a university to do a talk on the downsides of AI. And I was like, And what he got in his algorithm, and he literally just changed the 0 to a 1. So 0 is toxic to less toxic, but 1 is more toxic, i.e. the algorithm reverses. And overnight, it came up with 5,000 compounds, of which he said at least 50 of them are more deadly than the most deadly compound that he's ever seen used. Apparently, VX is like the most deadly compound, used in espionage. Blow it on your face, you're dead. This AI, overnight on a 6-year-old computer, came up with 5,000 new compound variants. What if that AI had autonomy, i.e., to make a decision on using that as a biological weapon? Because I think there was a treaty between Russia and America where they wouldn't use biological weapons because they knew once they opened that Pandora's box, humanity was fucked.
Yep.
Joe, we are so close to that Pandora's box. And if we are not careful and we open that box or we let the genie out of the bottle, it's going to be 1984. It's going to be Skynet in Terminator or whatever it is in RoboCop. It's going to be here. And we're fucking reckless. And we may not have that many hundreds or many thousands of years left.
Right.
Because the species that survived are not just the strongest, but the most adaptable to change. And if we give AI autonomy, we're not top of the food chain anymore.
Not at all. No way. And some say the genie's already out of the bottle with ChatGPT and
apparently,
OpenAI.
Apparently, there's been kill orders from AI already. And apparently, now these have been hidden from mainstream, but, like you said, you cannot put that back in the bottle.
No way. Yeah.
So, it seems that each time we have a new revolution, industrial, technological, whatever, the upsides become better. They're developing this technology where you can get a nanobot, that you can't even see unless it's in a microscope, that you can basically put in your body and it can travel around and diagnose stuff and go in and internally fix you like a little doctor in you. And, of course, your AI can be your local GP, your general practitioner doctor.
That's right.
But imagine giving a nanobot to your fucking enemy.
And how easy that
go
will become
in there and kill you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, fucking hell. This shit, man.
Oh, Rob, I want to wrap this puppy up, but give me something positive on the AI front if you have one. Something of hope or a way that you can see, because it's hard to plan even in the future, in the next 18 months, 2 years.
Well, look, if we have this, I forget the name of it, but there's a concept where I've got a nuclear weapon, you've got a nuclear weapon, but we don't hit the buttons because we know if we both hit the buttons, it's end of humanity. And AI in the military could mean you don't anymore have PTSD. You don't anymore have all these people going out to war and dying. It's literally like a simulation strategy. Surely that's good. I mean, the medical advancements that we're going to have with AI, how to, like bespoke nature. You're going to be able to go to your AI. What are the best types of food for me to eat? How do I live till I'm 120? Oh, I'm not feeling very well. What is it? You can predict predict, the illnesses and ailments you may have. So, I mean, the downside of this is going to take a lot of jobs. But, there was the argument that when Henry Ford automated the factory line, that was going to take a lot of jobs. You just have to evolve and reskill. So you shouldn't be scared about that. We're an adaptable society. So, the average life expectancy in 1900 was 44 for a male, and it's nearly 80 now.
Wow. Yeah.
It's nearly doubled. So clearly, in some ways, we're doing something right. So, there's some of the things that I'm excited about.
Yeah. It's going to be, I keep saying we're in interesting times. We're in interesting times, and that could go anyway, man. So thank you for taking the time to share this with me and those listening, man. And I hope for the best. I'm rooting for people and technology, but let's bring humanity. Always don't forget humanity in ourselves.
Yeah.
So hit me with where people should go follow you and take that next step on your journey.
I have a podcast called Disruptors. We're nearly at 1,000 episodes. I'm on all social medias as Rob Moore or Rob Moore Progressive. And I've written a load of books. Money and Life Leverage are my 2 bestsellers.
Right on, man. Yeah. And check out robmoore.com because you can get the whole scoop there. And man, you're fun. So it's easy to listen to you, and it's even better because we're learning along the way and we can grow. So open your eyes and ears, y'all. Go check out Rob Moore. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. That's what I got for you today. And remember, it's not all about living to work. It's all about working to live, if you need to do the work. But, work can be fun, and it should be fueling for your life. So if you enjoyed what you just heard, if you got some nuggets of wisdom that you want to share, or you're just noodling on right now, please go tell others. The way that people find this show and how you can help others get their aha moments is through word of mouth. So if it is telling your friend, telling your family, send an email to your list, writing a review, or whatever it might be, everything helps. So thank you so much for listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast, and I will see you next time.